Sorry about the wind noise. Again, it's a windy day like it's been just about every day so far this season. Today I'm going to do a little plumbing project because, looking at my boat and my motorcycle, we're halfway into the summer season, and I think I had the motorcycle out one time just to go and eat at a restaurant. The boat has not been out yet. I just brought it across the street from where I keep it at for the winter, and I cleaned it out on the inside, pretty much cleaned all the bird droppings because the birds roost up above it until I fix that situation. Need to hook up what they call mouse ears to the motor and get that going, but I am tired of running a garden hose from my laundry machine inside the house out here to use it in the front yard. Today I'm going to put what they call a bibcock. Take you for a little walk into my backyard here. A bibcock is what they call it. It's a faucet, and it's going to mount right about here someplace on this wall. Did a patch up on this wall a couple of years ago and never did put siding on it, but yeah, been living here alone for 30 years and a lot of unfinished projects. Anyway, I'll show you what the bibcock is in a bag here. Just bought this stuff at Home Depot. The project today is to put the bibcock in, and what a bibcock is, I'm not a plumber, but I can explain this anyway. What that is a regular faucet. It's an on and off faucet. It screws in, and it's got a flat washer way down here on this end that closes against, well, you can see it in there. I guess we can see it, rubber washer and the old black down inside there in the center. That's where it closes at, inside your insulated wall, inside the heated part of the house, so that the water shuts off at this point. And when you install these, it's, if you can, you'd like to have them facing downhill slightly. Now I'm going to drill the hole from the inside of the house right outside, and I'm going to do it from over the top of the pipe. It's going to be going downhill slightly so that when I shut it off, it's not holding water inside there at an uphill angle that freezes inside the pipe. So the way this is going to go inside the house, I'm going to screw this union right here on there, either this way or the other direction. I haven't decided that yet. I'm going to tee into a plastic pipe, a cold water pipe. I'm going to cut it off and put this tee in there. Then I'll have to get another little piece of pipe between this and this. This screws in there. It'll screw in there, and then another piece of pipe will screw. We'll just tee it in. We'll do that from the inside. And this is very important, what I'm going to say here. When you go and buy these things at the store, I got this at Home Depot. You go to Home Depot, Lowe's, or any of those places, you have to go inside this and make sure that that O-ring is in there. This one didn't have it. I had to go open up another one and get an O-ring out of it. The other one that I opened up didn't have threaded ends on both ends. They're in the wrong box. You get this at those kind of stores. And if for some reason you can't, if you're going to put this thing in a horizontal position, your pipe's running horizontal, then this O-ring can fall out of there. You need to take a little dab of grease and stick it in there first before you put it together. Make sure the O-ring doesn't fall out of there. Anyway, yeah, before you take the thing and buy it and go home with it, make sure the O-ring is in it. Don't know how much light we're getting on the subject here. I think we're getting some. This is my little plumbing stash. Most of it anyway. I don't have a lot of plumbing because I'm not a plumber. I play with it. I can DIY my own plumbing, and that's about it. I'm not a plumber. So keep extra pieces around. The pipe we're going to be cutting, normally I could cut with one of these ratcheting pipe cutters, but I'm not going to because it's 30 years old. I put it in 30 years ago, and I never dreamed I'd still be living in this shack 30 years later. So I'm going to carefully saw it off. I got this purple primer that we'll be using, an all-purpose. I always use the all-purpose because it sticks to everything. If you don't get that, then it won't stick to some different plastics. I don't know which ones, but I think the black pipe won't stick to the standard glue. You got to have the all-purpose for that. When I did this plumbing, show you how good of a plumber I am. Here's the bathtub. I actually got these backwards. I got the cold water over here on the left side, which is the right from this side, but inside the tub it's on the left, and that's the hot. Anyway, I'm going to turn it off down here. Turn that cold water off. Might as well turn the hot water off too, in case it tries to backfeed through one of the faucets or something. It shouldn't, but this is the sink over here. That's the tub there. So we got the water turned off. We're going to put a hole in the wall right back there, and there's a little bit of flexibility there, not much. Pipe is like 30 years old, so I got to be careful. I'm not going to use a tubing cutter. I'm going to use a saw. I'm going to use a small sawzall with a hacksaw blade. But I'm going to take, I don't have room to get in here with two hands, so I got to get the camera back out. I'm going to run this paper around there and clean that. I can do it here and show you how. Run it through and just do like this all the way around both sides and get that good and clean. That's the first step, is get the pipe clean before I cut it. Both of them look kind of white, but it's just the lighting is not real good. But that upper one, it is clean. And then I'll go on ahead and saw that. And I may have to saw it 2 times, because we got to put this in there, and so we're going to need, it's about the same thickness as the pipe. We're going to need that much of a gap. So if this is not flexible, if this won't move left and right once I saw it, I'll have to cut it twice. If it'll move outwards just a little bit, then I can push it outwards. I can see by where these faucets are, I really don't have room to move it out very much, so I am going to have to cut it twice. I'll just cut one and then another one there, but before I do that, I'm going to put a hole in the drywall and find out where my studs are, because I don't want to be directly, you know, Murphy's Law will have me cut this right where my bib cock is going to go right into a stud in the wall. So I'm going to poke a hole through the drywall and find out, or I could use a stud finder, but I don't know where my stud finder is. I'd have to find it. I'm back on this. I had to leave for a little bit, but I'm testing the wall like that because I don't have a stud finder that works. And I'm going to drill from on top here, but I'm going to have to put an extension on my drill. This is a extension that's made, it just clips into a impact driver, but I'm using it on a regular drill. I actually don't know where the impact driver is right at the moment, but the drill will work. Paddle bit that I'm using is going to be wide. It looks like it's a 1 1/8 inch, and it's going to be bigger than the widest point of this nut across here. I'm just going to guess at a little bit downhill angle so that water doesn't stay inside the pipe. It'll drain out of the pipe when it's shut off. So I'm just going to go a little bit of a downhill angle here. We're going to have insulation to go through too. Took me off to the side here for some reason. We're hitting something out there. I'm going to go on outside and put this in that hole. I wrapped that with Teflon tape. I thought I had it recording when I did it, and I didn't. Sorry about that. I'll kind of show what I did. I hold it in this hand, in my right hand, and I start the tape over the top with my left hand, and I hold it there. And the reason why, because when I break it off, I want the tail of it to be facing this direction. That way it doesn't unwind inside the threads when I screw it together. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take it out and put it in that hole from outside. It's raining outside and I don't want to take the camera outside. Don't want to work out there, so I'm going to mark the top of this pipe with a Sharpie. The reason why is because I'm going to do the rest of the work from inside, and then I'll finish the outside later. But look at all the dirt I got inside here. I got to get that out of there. Alright, I got that junk out of the end of the pipe there. And as you see, I got the black mark up on the top side of it because I didn't screw the thing down into the wall yet. So that way I know where the top of it is so that it's in the right position when I tighten everything down. So I'll go ahead and take my Sharpie. I really don't have room to work with this camera in this hole. It's tricky try to do this. So I'm going to put a mark, one on this side, which is the left side of this pipe, and another one on the right side, about the width of the pipe. Doesn't have to be exact. Cut those off with the saw here. I've already got the water turned off. We'll get some rags in there to sop up the water when it comes out. I'm going to have to get in there with two hands, so I got to hold this pipe still because the vibrations might cause it to break. So I got to hold it with one hand. But I'm working through a small hole here, so I've got to be able to get both hands in there, so I can't do it on camera. Got that little piece of pipe cut out. It only took literally just a few seconds. Sorry I couldn't do it on camera. There's not enough room to get in there and do it that way. I gotta take a rag and get the water off of there. I'm going to tilt the pipes if I can to get it to stop running out. I have to kind of wipe the burrs off of that a little bit, put some primer on it. I'll show you on another piece of pipe because I can't do it in there on camera. Right now I'm going to screw this fitting. This has threads, female threaded holes. You can get them with the smooth or you got to glue it on, but I got it threaded. And I'm going to screw this on there onto that pipe. And I don't know which is the proper direction, which side should be inside, which side should be facing out. I don't think it matters. But I'm going to put it on there and screw that on there tight. That's going to be a very close fit. This piece is not screwed in there tight, that threaded fitting, because I don't have the Teflon tape on it yet. I just screwed it in there to get an idea how much distance we got. So this is where it's going to mount on the wall, but really I can't have it mounting that tight. It's going to have to mount farther out because we need to put siding on there yet on the outside. So it's going to have to go out probably about an inch so that we got room for siding. And then I'm going to have to cut a little piece of pipe to go inside this part of the T and onto that. I cut off a couple lengths of pipe. I had a piece in the shop. I don't know what it was in there for, but anyway, since this T-fitting is brand new, I could probably take a chance on just putting the primer in there and the glue and not sanding it down. But the 1/2 inch is really tricky to get a fingertip in there to sand it anyway. And if you try to do this on copper, it'll cut your fingers. So they make a tool for this. It's just a brush. the 3/4 inch copper you can get in there with your fingertip, unless you got really big fingers. But the 1/2 inch you can't get in there without cutting your fingers on this out here, but the plastic's usually not sharp enough to do that. So yeah, you're supposed to kind of break the glaze a little bit, but I think with new fittings it's probably a little bit of overkill. It won't hurt anything. It's always good, especially on pressure. I don't mess with that on drain pipes, because there's no pressure on them, just gravity. But on pressure pipes, I am a little concerned about making sure everything is going to glue on good. I did cut out 2 little pieces here, 2 different lengths, and it seems like the longer one is going to be slightly long, the shorter one slightly short. That figures. The directions say you don't have to wait for this to dry completely, this purple stuff, but I'm going to put it on there. And then I'm going to put the all-purpose glue on it. Put that in there like that. Let that dry. I didn't clean this one out yet. I'm sure it's good, but just the same, I want to do that. Wipe that dust out of there. Put the glue on that. And I like to hold my fittings where the glue is going to run back out on me instead of down in the fitting if I put too much in there. And I'll tell you one reason why. You see, these valves right here, when you put these valves on like this in this vertical position like that, you got to make sure, if you, I don't know how to explain this, but if you put this valve on here first, on the bottom first, and then you put the top pieces of plastic in it, more than likely some of that glue is going to drip down in there and glue the ball shut in the valve, glue it in that position, and you won't be able to turn it. So you turn this thing upside down, totally upside down, and you put this piece in from the bottom, from going up, so that won't happen. Any extra glue is going to go down inside this pipe instead of into the valve. Then after that one is set, you turn it back in this position, and then you go ahead and put it on down here. Otherwise you wind up gluing these valves froze shut or open or whatever position they're in, and I've done that. That's why no one told me, and I've done that before and had to cut all that out and replace it. When this glue is dry, which it will be before too awful long, then I can thread it. I can put some tape on this and thread it into my fitting, my union up there, and then I'm going to take the union back off, and then I'm going to glue this thing together onto those 2 pipes just like I glued these together. But I can't do it on video, obviously. I can't get the camera in this hole. I think I'm at the next point here. I already got those nuts tightened down on the, trying to move the camera here without it jerking. Don't have high dollar equipment that works real smooth. Anyway, got the nuts tightened into that big ball right there, that union that union will unscrew and come apart. But I got it all tightened together there now to where I can go on ahead and put the primer on these two pieces, and inside of these put the glue on them, stick them together, and then after that's set, then got to loosen up the union there and rotate it until my black mark that I painted on that pipe is facing up again. Got my primer painted on there. I don't know if you can see it or not. I guess it's that purple stuff. Purple, that reminds me, you can't let this stuff get on anything because that purple stain will not come out. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on it and stick them together. Got it glued together, but it is still too early for me to mess with it. Once it's dry, I'm going to give it a little while, half an hour maybe, and then I'll loosen up that union and rotate the bib cock until that black mark I painted on it is facing up, and then tighten it back down. Then we'll turn the water on. Here we are on the outside, and like I said, after the glue's dry, about half an hour, then I'll go ahead and loosen up that union and rotate this till it's in the right position, which is then faucet will be facing down. And you see we got about an inch and a quarter of space up here. That'll give me room for the siding when we go ahead and put siding on. Yeah, normally this would unscrew right out of there and screw right through the siding afterwards, but we'll do it a little backwards. Doesn't matter on my old junky house. I am ready to test this out. I've already rotated this and got that where the mark is facing up, right there. And I still have to go outside and put a couple of screws in to hold it in place. I'm ready to open these valves. Which way do they go? There. Didn't bust apart and spray in my face. That's a good sign. Here we are on the outside. I'm going to stick a couple of screws in there just to temporarily hold that in place until I'm going to cut out a piece of plywood and kind of cut a horseshoe hole in it to stick behind that, but I'm not going to do it right now. It's just to show that, and we got water. There it is, got the screws in there temporarily. Thanks for watching.